Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode of Manifesting Muslimah. I'm your host, Zara Pedersen, and today we're going to talk about our niyyah, our intention, our purpose for, everything really. But today, of course, with regards to using the law of attraction and the things that we're trying to manifest, but also into, the daily little actions, the inspired actions that we're taking throughout our journey as we're manifesting the things into our lives that we desire. And this is a topic that's been coming up frequently. I mean, it's always coming up for me, but in the last couple of weeks, it's been coming up more and more in the membership group chats that we have on Mondays and Thursdays, the ladies. We've really been going in on the conversations over there on intention setting when it comes to the things that we're trying to manifest, but also to the things that we're trying to do on a daily basis, and just keeping each other, on check with those. And then again, for myself and my personal life, intentions really been popping up a lot lately because I've been dealing with a few insecurities. And then today, of all days, as I'm sitting down and recording this episode, I also recorded a TikTok or made a TikTok video where I speak into this a little bit, but also like speaking more into like an idea. I'll talk about all of this in this episode, inshallah. But just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea, like how much has kind of been coming up in my life lately. And I take that as a sign that, hey, maybe that means that I need to talk about this to all of you as well, and with all of you as well, because if we're this many people already in my little circle who think about intention and constantly come back to the topic of intention and setting our niyyah and our purpose, then maybe that means that a few of you out there also need these reminders as well. So we're going to talk about it in at least 3 different ways. So the first one is setting our intentions when we want to manifest something. So this is definitely something that I talk about in my book, Manifesting Muslimah, A Muslimah's Guide to the Law of Attraction. If you haven't got the book already, my darling, what are you doing? Check out the link in the show notes. Go grab it now. It's like $12.99 or cheaper. Like the $12.99 is the most expensive one, so depending on the format you're getting the book in. But anyway, go check it out, because that is literally the framework. And if you have the book, you have the framework, and then it's easier to understand a lot of the things that I talk about in the podcast and in my TikTok videos and everywhere else for that matter. But anyway, a little shameless plug over. The point is that the first step in the framework is that we have to get clear on what it is that we want. And one of the things that we need to do when we're getting clear on what it is that we want is not just the details and the specifics of the thing that we want. It is also why we want it. The why is our intention. That's our niyyah. What's the purpose of this thing? What's the reason behind it? What is it about this thing that makes me want it? And what is it going to, like, what's the purpose of it in my life? How is it going to change my life? Like the whole reason behind this manifestation. And this is so important because it is, number one, let's take it back we always come back to Islam, but let's take it back to Islam for a second. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, we will be judged not only on our actions but also on our intentions. Our intentions we will also be judged upon, because we can act with good intention and get a bad outcome. So we won't necessarily be judged on the bad outcome, but our intention, because our intention as we did something was good and it may have had a bad outcome. This is why our intentions matter as well. And this is why when we're setting our goals as well, when we're trying to use the law of attraction to manifest something into our life and allow Allah to bless us with the things that He wants to bless us with, that is always meant for us when we're ready and willing to receive it, is that we need to understand the intention behind why we want it and why we want it now and what role that thing plays in our lives. So the intention starts already at step number 1 when we want to use the law of attraction from an Islamic perspective. And ultimately, even before wanting to use the law of attraction, even just in our everyday lives. And we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later on. But knowing the why, understanding your niyyah, understanding your intention, for the things that you want in your life, whatever the goals and the dreams are. It doesn't matter if it's a small thing or it's a big thing, because I can probably hear you saying, like, but it's just a new pair of winter boots. That's all very nice and well, but why? Because you might have a closet full of winter boots, but you want the other ones because they're in fashion and really you can't necessarily afford them. So is the why just because so you can keep up with fashion trends, or is the why it's because it's a necessity, you've outgrown the old ones? Do you see what I mean? There's so much difference and nuances in the reason why you would want something, even the smallest thing. And sometimes also the bigger things. Sometimes we want a bigger house, but if we know that a bigger house would put a lot of financial strain on our marriage or a partnership, then perhaps our intention is, yeah, but I want to, keep up with the Joneses. So I want a bigger house because then I can decorate it again all over. But I know that my husband's going to go under a lot of strain and stress. So is it worth it? Like, where is the intention? What is the whole intention behind it? Again, the reason why matters. Our intention matters. And this is, again, not necessarily because it's going to drive the manifestation closer, but it's because it's an Islamic principle for us. We need to reflect upon ourselves. And so even the things we want, understanding our intention behind wanting it. What's the reason why we want it? This is not because it's going to make it easier or harder for Allah to give us the blessings. Nothing will make it either easier or harder to give Allah the blessings to us, but for ourselves, to keep ourselves in check, to keep ourselves striving to be better people. And sometimes asking ourselves the question why can stop us from a lot of heartache in the future, inshallah, or perhaps even help us navigate the goal so that it fits a lot more with our morals and ethics and our religious and spiritual perspectives and beliefs. Okay, so the second thing, kind of still speaking into this with the reason why, is we need to sometimes also understand where the desire for the thing is coming from, because there are definitely sort of those soul desires, heart desires that Allah plants within us, and then there are the desires that perhaps society plants within us, social media, our job situation, our friends, our childhood, even, childhood environment, the way that we grew up can kind of implant these seeds of desires within us. And now none of those things are necessarily bad. I'm talking about all the other ones except for the one that Allah has planted within us, right? So none of those other planted seeds of desires are necessarily bad, but knowing where the desire is coming from can also help us adjust the desire. So it's not just about fulfilling something that may be a bit of an empty void to begin with. That's not actually going to bring change into your life, but rather for you to understand where it's coming from and whether or not you actually need the thing, or if you need, perhaps, let's be real, therapy, coaching, guidance, more Allah in your life. Because if we're trying to fulfill a need based on something, a trauma or something that happened to us in childhood, then perhaps we'd be better off looking into changing that trauma or healing that trauma, not changing the trauma, we can't do that, but healing that trauma and looking at it from a different perspective. And that may change the desire, or it might completely remove the desire entirely. So understanding where the desire and the dream and the need is coming from as well. So when we're asking our intention why and we're setting the intention, it also helps us to understand where it's coming from. And in that process, it really helps us to determine whether or not we actually need to attract the thing into our life, or if our desire actually is to fulfill the need or the void or whatever is there by other means that will be more helpful in the end. Okay. So that's the second reason, and that kind of goes into that first reason of understanding the why. Okay, so the next thing when it comes to our intentions is one thing that I've sort of learned to do more and more as I go into my Islam more and more and improve my relationship with Allah more and more as the years go. So the thing is asking the question, is this going to bring me closer to my deen or improve my deen or bring me closer to Allah or Islam? Or is it going to remove me from it? And this is such an important question to ask, again, even with the small needs and desires that we might have. So, again, even those winter boots that you might be like, I really want to manifest a pair of winter boots. But again, if the whole desire is based on societal norms of fashion and keeping up with trends, and ultimately the money that you could have used there could be that, maybe you could pay off a debt from like a loved one, or maybe there's some zakat that you haven't paid off yet, or whatever it might be, that the money could go elsewhere. Again, check that intention, check the niyyah, check the purpose of what it is that you're doing and wanting in your life and what you're trying to manifest, because ultimately, is the thing going to bring you closer or further away from Allah? And obviously, if the thing's pulling you further away from Islam and Allah, then maybe recheck that goal. What could you change about the goal that'll make it so that it moves you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And at this point, it's so important to be honest with yourself. Be so for real with yourself. Don't start lying to yourself. If you know that having more money is going to make you chase clout. Oh my God, what am I, Gen Z? But what's the word for clout in a non-Gen Z? Have I been on TikTok for too long? Like if it'll if that'll make you chase the wrong thing, like fame and envy, and like if you're chasing that instead of being humble with it, if you know you're going to be bragging about this stuff, and maybe like having more money is going to make you pursue more material things, more this dunya rather than the hereafter. If you know this about yourself, and let's be real, some of us know this about ourselves already. So we can, like, the more you know yourself, ultimately the easier it'll become, and the more you're used to like checking in with yourself, the easier it'll be. And if you don't know that about yourself, then maybe continue saying to Allah, if it's not right for me, keep it away from me, right? Which might mean you will never get it, because Allah knows why. And then just tawakkul, trust and believe and have faith that the reason it's not coming is because there's a reason behind it. But ultimately, be very honest with yourself. Is the thing going to drive you further away from Allah, or is it going to move you closer to Him? And if the thing is not going to do the right thing, which is move you closer to Allah, then look at the goal again, look at the desire again, and tweak it if it needs to be tweaked, or remove it completely if it's one of those where you're like, actually, I'm pretty good without it. So yeah, I feel like that kind of does... it does kind of explain itself, but sometimes it can be difficult, because sometimes we're not talking about, I don't know, a new pair of winter boots or more money. Sometimes we're talking about marriage. Sometimes we're talking about kids. Sometimes we're talking about our health. Sometimes we're talking about other things that can feel that feels more personal to us, and we're more vulnerable around those things. And especially something like marriage. I see this a lot. Again, a lot of you message me, and alhamdulillah, I'm so grateful for this. And I see a lot of you, at some point, the desire almost outweighs Allah's will. And again, this is where we need to take stock of our intention and the purpose. It is not about us getting married because we need to get married in this dunya, khalas. I don't care what nobody says. This is what I want, so I have to have it. Because Allah might be like, no, it's not for you right now. Now, I hope that's generally not the case, but we don't want to let our desires outweigh our desire for Jannah. Okay, like let's not let this dunya's desires outweigh our desires for Jannah. Let's not make our needs and desires be more important than Allah's will for us. So there has to be that intention of being ready and willing to let it go for our deen, for Allah. And that again comes back to checking our intention, because if we are so dead set on what we want, when we want it and how we want it and why we want it, and we're not allowing Allah's desire and will to come in there as well and play a role, it's the intention is no longer deen over dunya, it's dunya over deen, because our desires play a bigger role there. So checking in on that as well is so important. The last one that I think is really important to make sure that you're on the right path with your attraction journey, your manifestation journey, is doing daily check-ins, or every other day or every week, or however many it's you feel is needed for you. And that is when we know what it is that we want, we've done that work and we've sat down, we've made the list, the vision boards, the affirmations, whatever it might be that works best for us. We know why we want it, we've set our intentions, and now we need to go out and take action. Okay, so now this is the point again that I get a lot of questions about. How do I know what actions to take? What should I be doing? What should I be doing? Check your intentions, everything that you do. That's what I would say. Like, whatever it is that you think you need to be doing, check your intentions before you do that thing. Am I doing this because it's genuinely going to take me from A to B, or am I doing this because I'm trying to avoid doing the real work? Okay, check your intentions. For instance, me doing this podcast. So a moment ago, I was like, oh, I can't really be bothered today. I'm a little bit lazy. I'm not lazy, but I'm feeling a little tired or whatever. And so I was like, oh, maybe I should just skip it today. And then I had to check my intentions. Do I actually really want to skip it because, like, intuitively I need to rest? No. I want to skip it because I would rather sit down and play, I don't know, some game on my phone, or scroll on TikTok or whatever, go to the beach, even though it's raining today. But my intention is not, like, it's not based on something that is ultimate truth for me and needed for me, which would be to rest, for instance, or do something else that's far more important. It is just because I'm being a lazy potato or something. Like, it's literally rooted in nothing. So sometimes checking our intentions as well with the things that we're supposed to be doing, or that we think we should be doing, right? And another way that I could check my intention with this could be checking the topic that I want to talk about on the podcast, checking the kind of videos that I want to be posting on TikTok. What's my intention? Am I trying to clickbait people? Am I trying to enrage people? Am I trying to inspire people? What's my intention behind the things that I want to do? Am I trying to post today because I'm trying to play a numbers game, or am I trying to post today because I'm genuinely trying to reach people? And it's so important for me with my work, and it is for a lot of you as well. I understand that. I'm going to speak into my personal experience because that's all I can do and know to do. But with Manifesting Muslimah, I constantly have to continuously come back to what my intentions with Manifesting Muslimah is, which is to constantly bring awareness back to Islam and Allah's grace and forgiveness and mercy. That is my intention, to awaken more people to the amount of hope and possibilities there are for us as Muslims when we are aware of it and open our hearts to it, and how much Allah loves us, and to constantly bring us back to that realm instead of pushing ourselves away by allowing fear-mongering to influence the way that we perceive Allah or Islam as in general, because it's just the truth. Sometimes we see a lot of stuff on social media and it's based on fear and scaring people into submission, and I'm like, personally, I don't believe in stuff like that. I believe that we are creatures that are far more likely to do things out of love than out of fear. And also, again, the intentions of doing it changes rapidly if we're doing it out of love than fear, and what we put into it, the kind of energy we put into it. And so my whole intention with Manifesting Muslimah has always been, and will always continue to be, inshallah, to bring people back to Allah, inshallah. Okay, so that's what my intention is. So even down to the smallest action that I can or cannot take with my business, I'm checking the intention. Is this piece of content going to make people feel in love with Allah, or is it going to make people push Allah further away? Is this piece of content going to make people feel like they want to delve further into the topic of Islam, or is it going to make them feel like, oh, I don't want to read about that, that's a horrible topic? Is it going to make people curious about their own religion, or is it going to make people think, nah, whatever? And that's like the kind of intentions that I'm checking in on my intentions every day to make sure that the stuff that I put out there, even if it's on a small scale, right? It doesn't have to be, earth trembling core shaking, anything. It's literally just sometimes like, if this just reaches one person that needs to hear this today, then alhamdulillah, I've done what I needed to do. And this is also why I'm checking, it took me a long while before I jumped on any of the trends on TikTok with like the music and the voiceovers and stuff like that, because it was far more important for me to use my voice first and really explain some things first and understand the nature of the beast that is TikTok, and using that whole social media, and also just to understand how people react to, when I speak about law of attraction from an Islamic perspective. And then I can sort of like start looking into, okay, how do I joke around with it a little bit, make it a little bit more fun, make it, a little bit more snappy, things like that. But again, constantly checking in with my intention. Am I doing it for clicks, or am I doing it because I'm trying to remind people, hey, we can also joke around and it doesn't have to be so strict every time? And again, check your intentions. Check your intentions. And that's the daily intention checks that we should be doing. I say daily. It's very easy to do. It might sound like, oh my God, I have to do this daily, and that sounds like a lot. It's literally like a 2-second job. Why am I doing this? And it goes so quickly inside of your own head. And the more you're in the more used to doing it that you are, the easier it gets, of course. So I would just say, even if you're not used to doing it at all, start with doing it once a week. Just once a week. What are my intentions for this week, and am I meeting the goals? And then all you have to do daily is check whether or not you're meeting the target of that goal. And if you're not, then maybe check your intentions again, or do some different, like change the habits or whatever it is that you've got set up for that week, right? The last thing that I want to say, very apropos the video that I posted today that made me sit down now and record this episode, is because I had to remind myself of my intentions with Manifesting Muslimah. And lately, I've been kind of on and off social media a little bit. And one of the reasons why was because I started to feel a little bit insecure. I'm currently in Sicily, and I'm living out on a farm in the middle of nowhere in a tiny house. Where I live used to be the back of a truck. So it's like a refrigerated truck. So it's basically a container, and it's been refurbed, or whatever it's called, into a small home, but it's all in one room, and I love it. Personally, I am absolutely, like, I came in and immediately I was like, yes, this is the perfect vibe for me. But then I was like, oh, it's kind of hard, all the time to put on pretty dresses and makeup and, have a beautifully aesthetic background and whatever, because I'm out in the countryside, and most of the times I'm wearing my clogs and my hair in a ponytail or in a high bun, or, whatever. And I'm just wearing, comfy clothes and stuff. And there was this little voice in the back of my head that said, like, you're a manifestation coach. You can't present yourself this way, because manifestation coaches are supposed to be glamorous, and you're supposed to inspire people by the way that you live, so that people want to have the same life as you. And I'm like, I had to really check myself and check my intentions, because that's not my intention for Manifesting Muslim. I don't want people to want my life. That's the exact opposite of what I want for people. I don't want you to want my life. I want you to want your life that Allah has destined for you, that He wants for you. That is what I want for you. And if I can help you get there by, setting your intentions, understanding your goals, and taking the inspired action that is required, and surrendering and doing all the things in the 7-step framework that I do when I use law of attraction from an Islamic perspective, then alhamdulillah, I have done my job. But I'm not doing my job if I'm trying to show you an image of what I think you would like from me as a manifestation coach. And again, because the image of manifestation coaches, like I speak on this already in the TikTok video, but for those of you who don't have TikTok, let me just explain it. Like, we're so used to seeing manifestation coaches online, and they lead these most glamorous lives. They have massive walk-in wardrobes, luxury cars, Louboutin shoes galore. They go to the spa all the time. They travel first class. I don't know, all that stuff. They go to all these restaurants. They are friends with celebrities. Like, money is a no issue, and their lifestyle is just glamour upon glamour upon glamour, okay? And they just get everything that they want in that sense. And once upon a time, that's what I wanted. Perhaps again, once upon a time in the future, I might want that again. But right now, my soul desires silence, peace, quiet, because I'm still on a healing journey, and B, a learning journey, on a learning, like on a road to learn and discover more about manifestation as a Muslim, teaching people about manifestation as a Muslim, moving closer to Allah, understanding my relationship with Allah. Like obviously all of these things is like lifelong journeys, but like right now it still feels like I'm in the middle of it. I'm not sort of like at a point where I'm like, okay, I'm good now. Like I can allow for more distractions. I'm still in the phase where I'm like, the less distractions, the better. And as someone who has struggled with some things in this dunya in the past, that very worldly material matters in the past, it's very important for me to know that I am ready and capable to deal with that if and when I choose to introduce myself back to that world. So I'm not chasing penthouses in these huge metropolitan cities. I'm not chasing hundreds of thousands of pounds in my account. I'm not chasing flashy cars and flashy clothes and branded bags. I'm really not desiring any of those things. And because I'm not desiring those, and I'm not actively trying to manifest those, of course that's not what you're going to see in my life. What you're going to see is the life that I'm attracting, which is peace and quiet, some chickens, a lot of countryside, very casual. That's the kind of lifestyle that you'll see from me as well online. And that also includes not showing up all the time wearing glam rags or even makeup or even brush my hair. It's a little bit harder these days because a little bit earlier on in the week I fell and I sprained my wrist. So I'm definitely living my hobo life right now, and I'm kind of into it, I'm not gonna lie. But you're going to see this image, and there was a part of me that felt really insecure about that for a minute, like felt really insecure about showing people this side, because I was like, oh, where I should really think about, if I need to record a video, let me find an aesthetic background. Okay, do it on a day when you have to make sure that you've washed your hair, you got the makeup on. Okay, so set the camera so that the angle is beautiful, the background, everything. And it made me not want to record because it's not authentic to me, and it doesn't align with the intention, like the true intention, the true desire for manifesting Muslim art and what I want to do. And so it became a chore, and it became something that I didn't want to do. And so I procrastinated on it, and as a result, I didn't post. Yeah, I posted, my podcast because you don't have to look at me. You don't know what I look like right now. Just know that I don't look great right now. I look cute. She cute. She cute. Say mashallah. No, but honestly, like it just made me kind of not want to post, and so I haven't. And so for myself, it's that checking the intention, and the intention of, hey, why are you so adamant on trying to look or make your videos look a specific way before you're posting? And then checking my intention there. What is the purpose of that? What is the niyyah here? And once I did that, I was like, hold on. The intention for that is driving me further away from Allah. And it's driving me further away from the purpose of manifesting Muslim. And the reason why I say further away from Allah is because I personally believe that doing this work is bringing me closer to Allah. Every time I connect with one of you and getting messages from you and creating content that is rooted in Islam and the Quranic principles and in the hadiths, that brings me closer to Allah. When I don't do that, that is basically me foregoing part of my daily dhikr. That is literally me foregoing part of my daily dhikr. My daily dhikr, you're a part of it, because it is, as much as I'm reminding you of the things that I'm posting and sharing in my content, as much it is a reminder for myself. I don't know if that sentence makes grammatical sense, but you know exactly what I mean. As much as it is for you, it is for me as well. It is just as much the reminders that help me stay on the correct course, that keeps me in line, keeps me in check, keeps me, inshallah, bidnillah, like the rest of us, on the right path to Jannah and Allah, and not distracted by everything else. And so even for me, I will get distracted, and I find myself constantly having to check myself back in. And this is not going to be the last time you hear this. This is not going to be the last time I'm sharing that I got distracted and I had to check my intentions. The reasons might look different in the future, but it's always going to be the same thing. And so while you might have checked your intentions once while you took some specific action or whatever, that thing might creep back up again in a couple of months and then you'll have to do it again. That is life. That is our struggle in this dunya, that we have to reflect so hard upon ourselves that we can keep ourselves in check, and we have to do it often, daily, I would even say, of course. But again, often, if you cannot do daily, if it's too much for you, then often. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, do they not reflect upon themselves? You know, he doesn't say, do they not reflect upon others? He says, leave others to do their thing, guide if you can help and whatever, but like, you're not responsible for them. You know, on Yawm al-Qiyamah, you stand responsible for yourself and they will stand responsible for themselves. You need to reflect upon yourself. And I think that that is such an important reason why we should do our intention checkings on a regular, making sure that the actions that we're taking or not taking are based on the right way, based on seeking the ultimate truth and reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, my darlings, that is what I wanted to share with you today. I would love to hear your thoughts on this and some feedback in general. Also, remember, if you've got suggestions for podcast episodes, feel free to slide into my DMs over on Instagram at Manifesting Muslima. I love to hear from you. Also, just in general, if you just want to say hello and that you're listening, I also love hearing from you guys. I will love you and leave you. But until next time, my darling friend, please don't forget to live in love.